Let me know how you're doing in the comments, and today and across this month we're going to be talking to religious individuals about evil. Throughout all different types of media, it is inconsistent. I want to know what evil is. Let's call up some religious people and let's ask them.
So, and actually there's another priest, he's retired, but he's the exorcist of the diocese, so I can send you his number. That might...
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Possession is the demon sort of taking control of a person's body, really. Although we don't necessarily believe that the demon takes over the person's mind.
So the person's still in there?
The person's still in there. It's like I use the example of a house, and when possession means that the house is invaded. It can be frightening at times. I've had some pretty tough sessions in which the person, kind of stomped around the room and looked as if he was going to bash me up and so on. But you sort of get used to it and you keep praying away.
It's actually still, it's very interesting because also paramedics and stuff are also victims of abuse from people they're trying to help. So,
well, I'd imagine that would be more likely due to alcohol.
Oh, just like sometimes, like if you're in pain, you're backed into a corner and you feel trapped, and people tend to lash out, that sort of thing. So,
well, that's true. Now, this is it. I remember I had a lady during the prayer of exorcism. The person often feels sick and really afflicted. So I remember one lady I said once, I prayed over, yes, she did manifest. But she said, oh, that was so painful. And I said, well, keep going because it'll be like that, but it should get better as the sessions go on. But she didn't come back. She wasn't going to submit herself to the pain of the exorcism process.
Do they develop a temperature? Like, do they get hot?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know. Yeah, some people take the jacket off. I know, with their mace sort of.
So you don't take their temperature with a thermometer or anything?
Oh, no, I don't. The prayer lasts only half an hour.
Yeah.
Well, you can go longer, but I don't recommend that. Don't go longer than an hour. And I generally use just half an hour. Anything longer than that is stressful for the person. I generally find that if they manifest, it's quite fierce initially, but then subsides. Bring them back next week, it's a little bit less, and so on.
Do you believe that you have come in contact with a specific, named demon or anything?
Look, I don't know, mate. I don't ask the name of the demon.
Isn't that a part of it?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay.
Now, some of the American exorcists, priest exorcists, they make a bit of a deal of that. In the old ritual, the old 1614 ritual, there was a part when you say, asking now in the name of Jesus Christ, to tell me your name. I command you to tell me your name and the date and hour of your departure, you say. Although I use the 1614 ritual, I leave that part out. Why? Because Satan's the father and prince of lies. The Bible says so.
Yeah.
So you couldn't be sure you're getting the true information anyway. There was a revival. The Catholic Church produced a revised ritual in 1998. That part has been left out. Although I prefer to use the old ritual, I follow them in leaving out that bit in which you seek the name of the demon. I don't think it's necessary. Whoever it is, get the bastard out,
Yeah.
We believe that it's Jesus who does the exorcism and he knows who it is. So let him do the work.
So you're drawing the power of Jesus to exorcise?
That's
true?
right.
Okay.
Yes.
So the literal saying,
cast out demons in my name.
the power of Christ compels you, that's literally something that is like being said, or?
Well, I believe that the power of Jesus is working through me as a spokesperson.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And
do you use sage or anything, any incense?
The demon, if they're there, reacts, you know, and hatred in the person's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, it's obviously the demon. You know, it's looking at Jesus, hating Jesus. Not against me. I'm an inoffensive sort of a person, you know. But and a sinner into the back. But Jesus, a big difference.
So it's not looking at you; it's looking through you to Jesus.
I believe that's the case.
Okay. Do you use incense or sage or anything to cleanse a room?
No,
or...
I don't do that.
Do others?
I'm not sure. But I use holy water, of course.
Yes.
We throw back quite a bit of holy water around the place during the exorcism.
Do you bless your own like shower heads and stuff? Sorry, that's just my own personal curiosity. Like, do you bless every water that is like in your proximity?
No, if I'm blessing, I might have a bottle of water and I bless that. I pray over that and believe it's a blessed water, holy water.
Okay.
I might even pray, say a little prayer of exorcism. Then I also use a vial of oil, holy oil, to anoint the person. But that's about the only thing we use.
What is the oil? What type of oil is it? Olive oil?
It's just olive oil, which I pray over. We also have oil for the sacraments, sacrament of the sick, for example.
Yes.
Which is blessed by, it's not that, I don't use that, I just use ordinary virgin oil, olive oil, which I've prayed over, and I bless the person as I finish.
Is there a specific reason you use virgin olive oil? Is it like does it have holy qualities or anything? Or?
No, I don't think so. It's the church in the early centuries used olive oil because I think olive oil meant a kind of a healing oil.
Actually, it is medically beneficial to have, I think it's a spoonful of olive oil a day.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so it does have healing properties.
We don't get the people to take it. We just kind of, just...
And it's not bad for your skin either.
Put some on their forehead, on their hands.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm just saying, like, it has, like, genuine health benefits whether you consume it or you put it topically. It's not going to, like... it's not going to hurt you at all.
Well, that's why the church in the early century used oil for its sacrament of healing, which is one of the sacraments. But for the exorcisms, I use not the holy oil for anointing of the sick, but I use oil that I have prayed over.
So that's interesting that there's both holy oil and holy water, and do they have their own unique properties? Do the holy water itself is to annoy the demon, and then
yes, that's right. Yes, it is. There are stories in which the demon reacts to holy water.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that. I possibly have.
And so, is the oil a barrier? Like, what does the oil? What's its purpose? We interrupt this program to thank our members on Patreon. Your contribution helps Scarabic Enterprises as a whole. All tiers are equal in benefits, and the entry is only $1 USD. We even have shadow tiers for those who do not wish to be named but want to show their support. Join now. Our Patreon link is in the description.
Well, I just usually finish off with that. I finish off with a prayer breaking curses, hexes or spells that have been put upon the person.
Okay.
And it's a sign that the person is sealed with, the love of God and cleansed of occult curses and things.
So would one need to have experienced that or been cursed by, I don't know, like a witch or something, Do you occasionally like find things under beds, under pillows or something, and it's like, okay, so this person has been targeted?
People talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't accept everything everybody says.
Yeah.
Some people get carried away and they see bloody spirits and stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
I'd say, all right, if you reckon, I'd pray over them with the rite of exorcism. If they manifest, I reckon there's something here. Come back.
Okay.
If they don't manifest, doesn't matter how terrible the stories they've told me. If they don't manifest, I don't think you're possessed by an evil spirit.
Okay.
You might have one attacking you, so you say a few prayers.
So your understanding of evil is that it's definitely there, it definitely exists, and sometimes it's mental health and sometimes it's a devil or demon possession?
Well, it just gets sometimes worse. Now, people come along and troubled and disturbed, right,
Yes.
by something.
Okay.
And they think it might be a demon that's got into them.
But sometimes
tell
it's just
me-
you need a psychologist.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. If you've seen a psych, or you've seen a psychiatrist or something. Now, if they have a history of mental health issues, such as bipolar, schizophrenia, and so on, serious mental health issues, well then that's probably what it's going to be. Mental health disorders are far more common than possession by demons.
Yeah.
And often you find that people would rather have the evil spirit troubling them than have a mental health condition.
Because people don't want to take responsibility for their own actions or their own faults.
That may be one reason, but also there's just the prejudice that, against mental health. He's a nut,
Yeah.
And so we've got this prejudice against mental health issues. We shouldn't have that. So,
But is it possible to have both mental illness and a
Well,
demon?
now, that's an interesting point, mate. That's an interesting point, That's really... I generally say...
Because you've made a point to draw a line.
I draw a line between... We don't exorcise the mentally sick, people with serious mental health issues, especially if it's schizophrenia, we don't do that. Could they have both? You're right. I mentioned before a lady who was coming to me for some years. I didn't know at first that she'd had a diagnosis of schizophrenia, because this is in the early years. I've been doing this for about 12 years now, but in the early years I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
So I had to learn. And so I never asked her if she'd had a bit. Eventually I learned that she did have a diagnosis of schizophrenia. And for that's why she was manifesting while I was praying for her. So, but what the manifestations didn't diminish, you see, over subsequent sessions. There was no sign of it lessening. So she probably had both.
Okay.
See, and but the evil spirit wasn't going because, well, perhaps it hides behind the mental health issue, you see.
Yeah.
But that lady definitely needs the help of a psychiatrist, and she definitely needs to keep taking her medication.
So she was a faithful person?
Yeah, I think she was, but with a lot of the schizophrenic people, they sort of like to think that their condition is improving, that they don't have to take their tablets anymore.
Yeah.
And that's
because of the
risky.
tablets. The tablets are making them feel better, so they're like, I give up. It's all good now. I'm
That
cured.
would exactly be the case.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right, and that's exactly the case. I have a degree in professional doctorate of psychology and counselling psychology. Took it out from Swinburne. It's useful I don't try to sort of counsel the people I pray for.
No, it's good to be able to
Except
psychoanalyze
say, keep
people,
taking your medication,
to read them
you know.
at least.
That's the work of psychologists. If I can help, if they need any help spiritually against evil spirit presences and so on, I'll do that. But I don't. But the psychology degree helps in identifying the mentally sick.
Yeah.
And saying, well, listen, I'm not going to proceed with this.
Well, I mean, understanding people's physiology, their mannerisms, their movements, their facial expressions, the tone of voice, like all of the psychological aspects of, like mental health issues and everything, and also analyzing whether or not a person is a threat, that's kind of essential if you're going to be doing anything dangerous. So why wouldn't an exorcist have a degree in that? Of course, like, it makes sense.
I suppose it does, but I don't think you need to have a degree in psych, to do this work.
But it helps.
One of your exercises, it might be one of your exorcist sort of effort to do this, so that you can always ask, what do you think about this person, and so on. But the thing is, you ask people, what about their history, mental health history, and medical history, and so on. And you ask, and they would say, no, Father, it's not that. Oh, it's not that, Father.
Yeah.
That raises red flags immediately.
Of course it does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you want something from me that I can't provide, and you're going to lie to get to it. So, yeah.
Well, the point is this, you see, I believe that God has given us the medical profession.
Yeah.
And given us psychiatrists and psychologists, and they do a marvellous job in healing people.
So you're not opposed to science?
Absolutely not, in no way at all. And we're certainly not trying to substitute exorcism for the needed work of psychiatrists and psychologists.
Oh, good.
There is, just as I think, a small number of people who have their problem may be spiritual, and that they are perhaps possessed or oppressed by an evil spirit, and because some doctors have sent people along to me, we can't find anything wrong with this person.
Yeah.
And so, and I've prayed with people, and they have got better. So, there is a place for both, you see.
Of course.
But some psychiatrists and psychologists, of course, think everything we do is a load of crap. But others are quite sort of open to prayer, even prayer of exorcism in some cases,
And I would also argue the point that even if exorcism wasn't found, if it wasn't actually anything needed, then the people that the exorcists are helping that do come out better at the end, then what's the harm?
That's right. Now, Father Amorth, the Italian exorcist guy, he's written a few books on it, he says an unwanted exorcism never hurt anyone. Only waste the exorcist's time. But an unwanted exorcism never hurt anyone. And that's true. Although I would say it could harm the person if the person gave up taking his medication.
Yeah.
If you thought, I'm healed now, I know it's all the evil spirits, and not something to, some imbalance in the brain, well, that would be harmful. And an exorcist, a Catholic exorcist, has to be, how would you say, alive to that reality. We're not trying to substitute exorcism for needed psychological and psychiatric treatment.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'm just looking something up. Apparently, 9 people have died during a production of an exorcism for a documentary. Has anyone ever died during an exorcism?
Yes, there was a case here in Melbourne, in Victoria, in the 1990s. Mrs. Volmer. She was being exorcised, I think, by a Pentecostal group down at Hamilton. Now they prayed for her. They prayed for her for some hours, and they leaned on her chest and poked her tummy and so on, and hit her, I think, to get rid of the evil spirit.
So they were quite forceful.
It seems that.
Yeah.
Now, they were charged. The Exorcists, there were about 3 involved. They were charged with, I think, manslaughter.
Yeah.
And they were acquitted. But then there was a retrial about a year later, and this time they were found guilty. And I think a couple of them got 6 months, and others just got let off. But now that's, some people have died. Now I make the point in my guidance to exorcists, you don't touch the person.
Yeah.
Don't hit them. Don't manipulate them. Don't try and force the powers in the words, the prayers. You can raise the voice a bit, but that's it. And also, don't go on too long. I recommend half an hour.
And don't go over an hour,
session.
is what you were saying.
Never go over an hour.
Yeah.
And I recommend half an hour, because it's too exhausting for the priest, the exorcist, any longer, and it can be dangerous for the person you're praying over.
Okay.
So there are rules of that.
Because they could need like medical attention while the exorcism is being, going on for hours and hours. Like, what if the person needs medical attention? So.
Well, that's right. That's what happened. With this, in this case. They
it's just extremely unfortunate, but it's also, you have to put the responsibility on the people that were performing the exorcism. They should have known better. Like,
precisely, you've got to give some consideration to the person's general state of health.
It's like, regardless of if they have a demon inside them, they still have a body.
Victim. You've got to ask, have you got any problem? Got a heart or something, right? But it would only be a problem if they manifested during the prayer.
Yeah.
See? Yeah. If you do exploratory exorcisms, most people don't react.
I mean, if you could kill a demon with a bullet, then an exorcism would just be a blessed bullet and you would shoot someone, but the person would still die. So, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be tactful. So I think that your approach is actually really responsible. You pay attention to mental health. You make sure it doesn't go on for too long. You make sure that the person is comfortable, and you try to do everything you can to...
Don't tie them up.
Yeah, exactly. You don't restrain them or anything. So I think that that's fairly responsible.
If they're teenagers, they have to come with mum or dad.
Yeah, of course.
If it's a woman, I've got to have my assistant present. Okay.
Responsibility, yeah.
If she falls on the floor, when manifesting, the assistant puts a blanket over her.
Okay.
There are strict rules of this kind, which
should have been around a long time ago, but
absolutely.
Good that you're actually, you wrote a book about it. You're trying to help people learn to do it the right way, right?
That's what I'm trying to do. Right?
Well, that's respectable. That's commendable. That's admirable.
I think so. Look, can I send you a copy of the book?
Absolutely, if you wish to.
You just give me your address.
So I actually have a question about because you said that you're Catholic, so that means that you do believe in the power of the Vatican and the Pope.
The authority of the Pope, certainly. Yes.
Yes.
The Vatican have been trying to promote the ministry in recent years, urging bishops to appoint more exorcists.
Because I spoke to a Protestant, and they said that they don't acknowledge the power of the Vatican and the Pope.
No,
And that's,
Protestants don't. No, the Protestants don't. No,
but this is again why I'm doing, like, having these conversations with people, is because I'm learning the differences, and I'm also trying to find the different interpretations of, you know, what they think evil is and how it represents and how it manifests.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it's an educational experience. So, what I'd like to learn as well is, because evil can be, from what I know of Christian and Catholic scripture, the 7 deadly sins, one of the biggest ones is greed. You do not have to answer this question if you don't want to. If you feel uncomfortable, of course, you don't have to answer. But I just need to ask, if greed is one of the biggest, most deadliest sins, I have to ask, what are the motivations of, do you believe, the Vatican or the Pope would have to have such an enormous amount of wealth? Are they trying to keep it away from the populace so then it saves the populace from greed? Or do you think that holding on to that themselves is in turn greed?
Oh, this is the whole question of the church's wealth and so on. Don't think it's got much to do with exorcism.
No, it's got to do with Catholicism.
Say, look, I'm not sure of, say, the wealth of the Vatican. I think it's lost a hell of a lot of money over recent decades.
Yeah.
Most of the wealth of the church is in buildings.
Yeah.
And property, the land on which the buildings are. Now,
and the preservation of historical sites as well. I know they put money into that.
And they're costing more and more.
Yeah.
For us to maintain them, you know. So that's a factor. But the Vatican is sort of it gets contributions from all around the Catholic world.
Yeah.
And they keep going, running the Vatican bureaucracy. There's a church bureaucracy in Rome, in the Vatican.
Yes.
And all those people have to be paid. Well, I kind of suppose they need to they have a department for priests, and then a department for dealing with the governments, you know, and so on, and a department for nuns and all this jazz. The whole question of the wealth of the church, look, I don't know. It's one which is sort of debated within the church itself. But certainly, I think over recent decades, we've been losing money at a great rate. We've paid out billions of dollars in compensation for people abused by priests, sex-abused by priests, and so on. So God has been, cutting our wings financially. Yeah. Okay, but then again, if you've got an organisation, a worldwide organisation, and you need some dough to run it, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just in the parish, an ordinary parish. You know, we have a parish and we take up collections on Sunday. The priest is paid, and other people might be paid. So and then you've got to upkeep it. We've just had a fence put around our parish grounds. A new fence because the old one is getting pretty tatty. So,
and that came from the Vatican, like the funding?
No, then it became the fame from the parish's own bank balance in the bank. You see,
oh, wow.
We've got a bank account.
So is that from the collections that you're able to maintain?
Now, part of the money we collect goes into the bishop. Yeah, part of it goes into the bishop. And then there are special collections every year for the papacy and so on.
Okay.
And so on. So,
well, thank you for answering that question. I know it's not an easy question, but I've been asking everyone.
Yeah, okay, mate.
Because everyone has an opinion on it, and I just wanted to know whether it was a form of greed, or is it maybe pride?
A lot of people are anti-Catholic. That's possibly the biggest one. They think, well, look at the wealth of the Vatican, and so on. And they reckon that. But, every major church has quite an amount of sort of property and so on.
Yeah, property and wealth and expansion.
The Mormons have a lot, because they tithe people. And
that's someone I haven't actually contacted. I haven't contacted a Mormon yet. Is it just Mormon religion? Like, do they have churches or anything?
Oh yes, the Mormons have quite a few churches.
Are they Christian? Are they like
they are Christian, although it's rather peculiar belief. We believe that Jesus lived 2,000 years ago, roughly, in Palestine. And the Mormons
believe he lived in America, I believe.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. And then he died and rose again. And he did start a church, according to the Mormons, but it soon went into corruption.
Okay.
And for that reason, about 400 years later, that'd be about 400 AD, Jesus descended again to the Indians of North America.
Right.
And that also started up, but it also went wrong. But in about the 19th century, a guy called, who was the founder of Mormonism? I've just forgot, but he found golden scrolls. And that had the whole story.
Was it Jeremiah? I think it was.
No, Smith, wasn't it?
Smith, Joseph Smith, that's the one.
Joseph Smith found this, and so he started Mormonism. We believe that that's a very dubious claim.
Yeah.
There's very little historical evidence, unfortunately, that the golden scrolls were lost subsequently and so on. We believe, no, Jesus came down and he died on the cross, rose again, started the church, which we Catholics reckon was the Catholic Church, and it's been gone ever since. Stronger at times, more faithful to Jesus at times than at others, but it's still been hanging in there.
Well, thank you so much for sparing so much time. It has been a very insightful conversation. Thank you for everything that you've said, and it is really heartwarming that someone who is a devout Catholic exorcist is actually very forward-thinking and trying to make the appropriate changes to not harm the people that they exorcise, as well as trying to prove as an example to future exorcists.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's very good. You should be proud of yourself that you actually, saw a flaw in the system and tried to change it.
Well, the flaw I saw was the absence of exorcists. The bishops were not appointing exorcists, and where they did, the priests wouldn't continue doing the job. I fear that they didn't really know how to go about it, give them some ideas how to do it, and to keep safe in the process.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Sabian.
No worries. I wish you a good night, and thank you very much for this insightful conversation.
Well, I pray that God guides your path in the future.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I just got off the phone to an exorcist. Okay. That is a lot to process. That is a lot to process. Oh my. So, we did go in circles quite a bit in this conversation. There's a few things that this exorcist wanted to make sure that he got across. The fact that he doesn't touch the people that he exorcises. The fact that he always has someone in the room with him if it's like either the parents of a person underage or if it's a female. He has an assistant that is there to assist and to, I guess, keep him protected as well as the person protected. I'm guessing because of everyone knows the issues. But also that he's not being forceful, he's not restraining people, and that he's genuinely acknowledging mental health and science and doesn't have anything against modern medicine and stuff. So that's interesting. He had a few interesting takes on witchcraft and witch doctors and whatever else. He has an opinion on it. He has an opinion on Mormons as well. So that was interesting, sort of looking into like the opinion of a retired exorcist, and yeah, he sort of had some pretty decent arguments for the Vatican holding on to a lot of money. It does make sense, the things that he said, that does cost money. It does make sense. But I would still reserve judgment and say that they've got more than they need, is what my personal opinion is. Still, to this day, is my personal opinion. But I can understand that there would be a lot of lawsuits, there would be a lot of maintenance, there would be churches opening, and a lot of different things that they fund across the board. But that being said, churches and areas, religious areas, they're sort of on their own once they've been built. They have to get their own collections, and they have to fund their own restorations and stuff. So I'm just confused as to why the Vatican won't help support their own religion as well. Like, not just damage control with priests that have gone awry, but also why not restore and help like each of the churches when they need it. They need new flooring, they need new roofing, there was an accident, the gates need repairing, any of that sort of stuff. They need more pews, a more modern aesthetic, or any of those sorts of things. Like, why wouldn't the Vatican just jump in and go, hey, yeah, alright, cool, here is a bundle of cash, since we're sitting on a gold mine, essentially. So I'm still confused about that, but this has been very insightful, and very different for a video as well. I think I'm going to have to turn this into a series of videos. I've been recording for so long, I have hours of footage of several conversations, and yeah, it's just really insightful to talk to people in a controlled environment as well, and without it being a one-sided, forceful, like religious confrontation, rather than what it actually has been, which has just been kind of like, yeah, I want to know what's happening and what are your opinions, and then they just tell me. It's just so weird. I feel like I need to explore more religions. I need to talk to more people. I want to talk to the Mormons, and get their perspective on it as well. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just spoke to an exorcist. That's still blowing my mind. He wants to know what my address is so then he can send me a book. I don't want to give my address to anyone, personally. I will ask for a digital copy, and I'll give him my email address. If he's able to do that, I'm more than happy to do it, but I'm not giving him my personal home address. I'm not giving anyone my personal home address. But yeah, this has been a lot.